Hey everybody, today we're going to take another look at this Ohio U.S. Senate election. I've already done a couple of videos on this, but this is probably the most pivotal race coming up next year, so we've got to look at it more frequently, and there is another new poll out that shows it's completely up for grabs, but first let's start with this news that shows Frank LaRose, Ohio Secretary of State, he has entered the race. That was expected, and we've got the article right here from Politico, and this is not a low-tier candidate that has no chance. LaRose is in contention for winning this nomination. You might even say he's going to be the eventual nominee. Much too early to say. This is going to be another hard-fought GOP primary. Whoever wants to be the nominee is really going to have to work for it. Politico points out that the other two candidates in the race, Matt Dolan and Bernie Moreno, they're both self-funders. They've got deep pockets. So LaRose is going to be at a disadvantage there. But the strength for LaRose is he has already won twice statewide. So his name recognition is already sky high. So we'll see how he does. But we've got another related story right here. Potentially already a scandal in the works for LaRose. There's some ethics concerns here. You could read about it here. It talks about LaRose. He's involved in a ballot issue he's supporting. But at the same time, he oversees elections in the state. Could be a conflict of interest. He's going to say it's fine. People who oppose him are going to say it's not fine. Maybe this has no staying power. Maybe it ends up taking him down. You can read about it here if you'd like. Again, all the links will be down below in the description. So a little bit more about LaRose. Here's his last election. It was less than a year ago. Secretary of State. He got 59% of the vote. He won by almost 20 points. So if he gets anywhere near that kind of a margin, he's going to flip the seat for the Republicans. He could even do significantly worse. Still flip the seat for the Republicans. So that's going to be what LaRose is going to go into this saying. He's going to say, I've already won twice statewide. Give me a chance. And I've heard Donald Trump has already endorsed Bernie Moreno a while back. Then I hear that he didn't really endorse him. We'll see if anything happens with that. But LaRose, he is going to want to get that Trump endorsement. Ohio is a state where that's going to matter. But we do have a brand new poll out. This is from USA Today, Suffolk University. And this is done with 500 likely voters. The poll from East Carolina University from a few weeks back, that was with registered voters. This time we've got likely voters. It's not the hugest sample size at 500, but it's all we've got, so let's take a look at it. Here's the key question. In the U.S. Senate race, if Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown ran against each of these three Republican candidates, who do you prefer at this time? If it's Brown and Matt Dolan, Brown leads 46-43. If it's Brown against LaRose, then it's tied at 45. Brown versus Moreno, then Brown leads 48-41. That's more of an obvious lead for Brown. So if you're Frank LaRose, you're going to be brandishing this poll to show that you're the best candidate to go up against Brown. He's going to say he's running even with Brown while these other two have to play catch-up, and that's not an unconvincing argument. If you're Bernie Moreno, you might take a little bit more time to get going, and maybe you are the stronger candidate, but right now, Frank LaRose would be wise to point this poll out. You also have Matt Dolan. A lot of the Trump base is not going to be a Dolan fan at all. They're either going to say he's grifting, he's too moderate, he's too liberal, however you want to put it. I don't think he would be the nominee, but he's clearly in the conversation. And this poll did not ask GOP voters who they would support in a primary for U.S. Senate. Be nice to get an update on that. I assume it'd be pretty spread out with a lot of undecideds, but we've got a lot of time left for these candidates to craft their campaign and shape their image. Who knows, somebody else could enter this race and shake everything up. So we'll see what happens. This poll also did do the general election against Trump and Biden and DeSantis and Biden. We'll skip over that part this time, but Biden does trail both Republicans. Trump does a little bit better than DeSantis. So here's where we're at for this U.S. Senate race. We've got these two polls for the general election, and the margins in the polls are roughly similar. So now that we have two polls out, we can confirm that Sherrod Brown is in the lead, but it's an absolutely precarious lead. He's a long-time incumbent, and he's only running at the mid-40s. He's within the margin of error on a lot of these. Against Frank LaRose, it's dead even. So if you're Brown, more than a year out, with his status, I would think he would at least be in the high 40s, if not the low 50s, and then I would expect the race to narrow up as we head into the primaries and then into next summer. So I do think it's a bad sign for Brown to only be in the mid-40s. Maybe everything works out for him and he wins with 52%, but there's no way Brown's not going to be nervous seeing a second poll that shows him only with a slight lead at best. And as I always say, Brown's strength is going to be more on the economic side. If you're Frank LaRose or the Republican, you got to have some kind of economic appeal, and you're going to have to hit Brown on the cultural stuff. I think that's his weakness in a state like Ohio. There's plenty of issues out there to attack Brown on, and there's certainly some for Brown to run on. So we'll see what happens. It seems like Frank LaRose is a nice guy. He hasn't really come off as much of a fighter, and he's going to want to eventually get that Trump endorsement, but maybe it never gets to that point because he goes down on a scandal. And we can't count out Matt Dolan or Bernie Moreno, or maybe Sherrod Brown's campaign crumbles. This far out, you've got to consider a lot of different possibilities, but based on all the information I've seen, this is going to be a down-to-the-wire brawl. Republicans have to flip this seat if they want to win that Senate. They absolutely can do it, but they're also capable of narrowly blowing it again and losing it by 1 point. So that's another look at this Ohio Senate race. let me know in the comments. What do you think about Frank LaRose? Do you think he's going to be the nominee? And how nervous do you think Sherrod Brown is after this second poll showing him only in the mid-40s? Let me know down below, and on your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.